There was a time when humans were just animals. No language, no society, no identity. Just a hunting creature fighting for its existence, with no worry about tomorrow and no dream for the future. Every day was a battle against hunger, fear, and death. This is where the journey began, from an animal to a human, and the very first echoes of that journey still resonate on the walls of ancient caves, billions of years ago, when there were no humans, no animals, no plants, not even any living organism on Earth. There was only a boiling ball of fire, more dangerous than the sun. There was no air, no water, only blazing heat, darkness, and destruction all around. This was the same Earth we stand on today, but back then, its atmosphere was so toxic and hot that the idea of life was impossible. Slowly, millions of years passed. The Earth began to cool, volcanoes calmed down, and the first oceans were formed in these oceans. Different chemical substances started interacting, and an incredible process began, the process of life. The first life forms were microscopic organisms we call prokaryotic cells. They were so tiny that even a microscope is needed to see them. These are the first building blocks of life. They had no hands, no legs, no brain, just a simple cell powering the wheel of life. Gradually, these prokaryotic cells evolved and gave rise to eukaryotic cells. Now life was no longer limited to a single cell. Many cells started forming a body together. As time passed, the Earth's environment kept changing. Oxygen levels increased, and the oceans began to fill with life. Then came a time that completely changed the direction of life. Thousands of new species evolved together. Complex organisms like fish, insects, jellyfish, and many unique marine creatures appeared. For the first time, vertebrates were seen. Life was evolving rapidly. Some creatures moved out of the water and began to settle on land. Some fish evolved into amphibians, creatures that could live first in water and then gradually on land. Then came reptiles who started ruling the earth. Among them, one group slowly emerged that would go on to dominate the planet. The dinosaurs. The most fascinating era of Earth began when dinosaurs ruled the planet. About 230 million years ago, their world was not just about huge creatures. It was a world full of biodiversity. Some dinosaurs were pure herbivores, like the Brachiosaurus, whose long necks could reach the tallest trees to eat leaves. Despite their massive bodies and calm nature, they were always alert because predators lurked everywhere. Dinosaurs like Triceratops, with their large and strong horns, were peaceful but could become fierce warriors when threatened. On the other hand, carnivorous dinosaurs created a world of terror. Who doesn't know Tyrannosaurus rex? A gigantic predator. With huge jaws, sharp teeth, and monstrous strength, it was the most dangerous hunter of its time. But it wasn't the only threat. Velociraptors, though small in size, used cunning, speed, and teamwork to take down prey. Dinosaurs didn't just dominate the land. Some ruled the skies, like pterodactyls and Quetzalcoatlus, whose wings were so large it seemed the entire sky was theirs. They soared above, hunting or traveling long distances. And when you look into the depths of the oceans, there too were dinosaur-like creatures. Giant predators like Mosasaurus ruled the seas with their powerful tails and jaws, while plesiosaurs, with their long necks and swift swimming, hunted in the deep. The age of dinosaurs lasted for about 180 million years, but around 65 million years ago, a catastrophic event occurred. A massive asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact was so powerful that it threw dust and ash into the sky, blocking sunlight from reaching Earth. Temperatures dropped, plants began to die. Herbivores starved, and when they disappeared, carnivores also couldn't survive. One by one, the giant species vanished. That it felt like life itself had collapsed, and this was the end of the dinosaurs' 180 million year reign. But amidst this destruction, Earth was preparing for a new beginning, a new civilization, new creatures, and eventually the era of humans. After the extinction of dinosaurs, small mammals, who had lived hidden in fear for millions of years, were now free. Earlier, they lived in trees, bushes, underground burrows, or cracks in rocks because dinosaurs ruled the earth, and becoming prey was always certain. But now, that fear was gone. The environment was stabilizing and life had a chance to spread again. These mammals had a unique advantage: fur to survive temperature changes and the ability to give birth and feed milk to their young, increasing their survival rate. Over time, they adapted to their environment. Some continued living in trees, while others came down to the ground and learned to face new challenges: open skies, predators, and changing weather. After dinosaurs, Earth became filled with mammals, but some species were moving toward a special destiny. These are the primates, the closest ancestors of modern humans. Their evolution was fascinating. They learned to climb trees, leap across branches, and move quickly. Gradually, their bodies began to change. Their fingers became flexible for gripping branches, and their hands evolved to manipulate objects. Another major change was in their eyes. They moved to the front of the head, giving better depth perception and distance judgment, which helped in jumping and escaping predators. Over time, their brains also developed. They began to live in small groups, search for food together, and warn each other of danger. This was the beginning of social life. Living in groups and communicating through signals. Brain development accelerated because of this. Gradually, more changes came. Some primates spent more time on the ground. Their arms, once used for swinging, began helping them walk on land. The spine curved slightly, and the body adapted to stand on two legs for short periods. This was the first step toward becoming human. Walking on two legs was not just a physical change. It was a sign of new thinking and new perspective, and the beginning of the most complex creature on Earth, humans. About 2 million years ago, the evolutionary journey of humans reached a turning point. The emergence of Homo erectus, meaning upright man. They were not only different in appearance from earlier primates, but also far more capable. Their brains were larger and more complex, enabling them to think, understand, and solve problems. The most remarkable thing about them was their body. They could walk upright on two legs, allowing them to travel long distances easily. Homo erectus didn't just learn to walk. They started using their hands to make tools, shaping stones into weapons, crafting simple tools from wood. These became part of their life. But the greatest breakthrough was fire. One of the most revolutionary discoveries in human history, it allowed them to cook food, making it easier to digest and more nutritious. Fire protected them from the cold, enabling survival in colder regions. Most importantly, it gave them safety from wild animals in the dark. Social life also advanced. People gathered around the fire, tools like hand axes, sharp spears, and stone scrapers were made. These are not just tools but proof that the human mind was becoming more advanced. They began to understand their environment and adapt it to their needs. Living in groups had its benefits: sharing food, caring for children together, and supporting sick or elderly members. This communal life became the foundation of human society. Humans began living in caves, lighting fires inside for warmth and safety. These caves became the first homes. But caves were not just shelters. They became the birthplace of art in ancient caves worldwide. Paintings of deer, buffalo, elephants, and humans still exist. These paintings gave history a new dimension. Humans were no longer just living. They were thinking, feeling, and expressing emotions. For the first time, humans began carving their thoughts on walls. And this was the beginning of art, culture, and eventually civilization. Now, we had reached the turning point where Homo sapiens were no longer just hunters. They were slowly becoming humans, beings who lived not only to survive, but also to feel, speak, and understand. Language didn't develop in a day. It took thousands of years. It began with gestures, hands, eyes, and facial expressions. If you liked this story of human evolution, share with others. Because until we know our past, we cannot truly understand the flight of our future. Until we know our roots, we cannot value our wings. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment what you think.